Hey friends, Kevin here, and today I want to talk to you about one thing, which is an emergency fund. Because if you have a minivan, you have a full-size van that you've converted, you have an RV, whatever you have, you're going to need an emergency fund in order to do van life or in order to do long trips. Now, that may be accessed having a credit card with enough of a limit on it that you can solve the problem that comes up, or if you don't have that, it's having enough money set aside to cover these problems. So we're going to talk about how much of an emergency fund you need, how to build your emergency fund. Let's get to it. Because not to scare anybody or put a damper on anybody's dreams, but it doesn't matter whether you're doing van life with whatever van build that you have and you've gone on the road with, or you're doing anything else that involves a vehicle. If you drive enough and you're on the road enough, you are going to eventually have something silly happen or have a breakdown. It's just going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And you're going to have a whole lot less stress and less hassle if you have enough of an emergency fund in order to solve that problem. So I have people in this group that are coming from all different budget levels. And everybody comes with a question, okay, I have $2,000 for a van. I have $6,000 for a van. What should I do? What should I be buying in that price range? And here's my answer. If you have a $2,000 budget, you should be looking for a $1,000 van that's in good enough shape that you only have to do a couple of $100s of basic repairs on, and the remainder of that money then is your beginning emergency fund. If you have a $6,000 budget, instead of looking for a $6,000 van, you should be looking for a $3,000 or $4,000 van. Again, that's in good shape, that doesn't have any major mechanical issues, that you can throw a couple of $100s in to take care of things that you're replacing ahead of time that you've heard me talk about in other videos, so you lessen your chance of having breakdowns from things. You replace things before they tear up. That's essentially what you're going after. And then the remainder of that becomes your emergency fund. If you have a $10,000 budget, again, I'd be looking for maybe a $7,000 van, few repairs, big emergency fund. And the more expensive vehicle that you have, probably a little bit more of an emergency fund you're really going to need. So if you're driving that $10,000 van, you probably need more of an emergency fund than the guy that's driving the $1,000 van. Worst case scenario, with the $1,000 van, something major happens, you're in the far away from home, you can junk that puppy, have enough in your emergency fund to go and just buy another van and continue on your trip. That's kind of what you want your mindset to be on the low end. And as you move up through the chain on the higher end, that you now have a vehicle with more money in. If you have a $10,000 van and you have a transmission problem on the road, you're probably not going to junk your $10,000 van like you would potentially do a $1,000 van or a $2,000 van when you're facing that $2,000 or $3,000 repair. But you want to have, again, enough in that emergency fund to cover it, either by access from a credit card or having that money saved up. So it's not a big deal when, not if, when it happens. Now, there's people that will go out and they will be on the road for years and not have any kind of serious problems. For some reason, I seem to only break down when I'm at home base. That's where everything that's ever gone wrong for me almost has happened in this town. The final issue I had with the minivan, the big issue a few months ago, I was 20 miles away from here when it happened. And I was in this town when I actually did the stupid thing that caused it to happen. The 18 or 20,000 miles that I spent traveling throughout the country before that, the only issue I ever had was replacing one tire because a belt broke and it got a knot on the tire, and I went ahead and replaced both front tires and was back on my way. All the times I've been out, I've not had to face any serious problems with that van. That doesn't mean it can't happen. And I made sure when I went out on these cross-country trips that I had enough sitting over here to cover whatever problem would come up. So if you've watched a lot of videos and different people, everybody tells you need an emergency fund, but nobody really explains what it is or how much you need. And that's what I'm trying to get into in this video. Any questions you have, anything you need me to clarify, put that down in the comment section. If you're the type of person that's already out on the road doing this stuff and you have an emergency fund, if you want to share those details, put that down in the comment section, because again, we all kind of learn from each other. Yeah, for a basic guideline, I would say if you're spending $6,000 or less in your head that you have set aside to do this van with, I would spend half of that on the van. If you're following me and doing the simple van build stuff to get started, your van build itself and what you're going to have to buy to take with you isn't going to cost that much money. And a lot of the things to get started, you probably already have around your house anyway. So much more important than what you spend on that van build is having that emergency fund. So $6,000 or less, I would go with 50% in the van, the rest of it divided up so you're covered. When you get up more expensive than that, you're talking $10,000, $15,000 for your van, or that you have to put into this, I would set aside about $3,000 for an emergency fund. So if I had 15 grand to spend, I'd be looking for a van, $11,000 or $12,000. If you follow that guideline, you're just not going to have the nightmare scenarios that other people do when they get out on the road doing these long trips. And I know some of you are saying, yeah, Kevin, but I have this insurance. Yeah, Kevin, but I have AAA or this or that that's going to help out with a lot of that. I'm going to cover that in a separate video, because people reviewing Good Sam's Club or Allstate has one or AAA has one, you're going to see about half good reviews and you're going to see about half horrible reviews for any of these companies. And every company is going to have its share of good and bad reviews, because it depends on where you are when you break down as far as what kind of service you're going to get. And so I could keep this video short. I'm going to cover that in an upcoming video, which plan may be better, but also why some people have good experiences using these travel breakdown plans, and why some people have absolutely horrible experiences using these breakdown plans. And we'll talk about whether you even need one of these or not. Hey friends, Kevin here, and it's a beautiful morning here in the large van. Ho, ho, ho! Let's see what Santa brought for us overnight, shall we? Oh yeah, we can't see anything. You know why? Because we're covered up with about 8 inches of snow. In the meantime, you may want to check out this video if you've not seen it yet. And we'll talk soon.